Hello, test. Great. What's up, people? All right, here we are getting started right away. I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm doing this during lunch. I actually recorded this once today already, but I had a glitch. It didn't record. It didn't save to my computer, which made me very frustrated. So here I am again doing this for y'all because I care so much, and because I told you I was going to do this. So here I am. Okay. I am grading your essays. I'm trying to get done. I have about 20 left or so, maybe more, maybe like 30. And I'm gonna get those rolled out. Technically, I don't really need to get those out to you until week 10, which is when you're actually gonna like apply, we're gonna look at like bad things that SA1 people did in order to get SA2's to edit SA2's first draft, right? But I want to get them to you this week as soon as possible. Okay. So you can get your feedback and all. So I'm really trying to when I was in college and we submitted essays, we didn't get them back for a month. It was ridiculous. But I mean, that was like 20 years ago. And I know things have changed. We are much more a society where we want fast turnover, we want immediate results. I get it. I'm with you too. Okay. I don't like taking so long. All right. So if you get your essays back this week, while that's really fast compared to when I was in college, I still think that's slower than what I wish I could have gotten them back to you sooner. Okay. All right, let's get straight into this. I'm just going to share a screen in general. Okay, so week 8 right here, we're discussing SA2. I'm going to go over that for you. And not really doing these statements, but more your ideas, okay? And talking about sources and writing your outline. That's the thing you're turning in this week is your outline. It's going to be written this week. And you need to have 2 sources, as I'll discuss in a moment, okay? If we go to our lessons, go to lecture 8. Here I have the PowerPoint notes. I'm not going over every single thing in the PowerPoint notes, okay? You will need to go back over those and look at what it is that I've discussed, all right? What's posted in here. Some of it is review of things we've already talked about, all right? But I have more than enough in here. And also, these PowerPoint notes are for week 8 and 9. There's some parts of it that are for week 9. So I will be reusing these as well and reposting them, okay? So in this lecture, I'll go over some things dealing with the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to focus on writing your outline. That's the lunch bell. I have 20 minutes or less. Okay. SA2 requirements. Here we go. Minimum of 1,200 words, please. Listen, y'all. I essentially every 400 words, double spaced, is about 1 page. Okay. So I read your essay and I get a sense of about how long it is. If it feels long enough, I give you the points. I don't really look. If I read it and it feels short, then I have to go through the extra step of downloading it and then looking at the word count. Super annoying that the way that the program that we use to grade your essays does not just show us your word count. Okay, so if I get suspect that it's super short, then I have to download it and look at it, which I don't like to do. So like if I read it and I'm like, this feels long enough, then I just move on. Which means some of you are like, it was only 950. Okay, but whatever. That's fine. And sometimes I read people's essays and it feels short, and I pull it up and look at it, and it's like 1,001 words, which is technically correct. Okay, but pretty much generally it's about 400 words per page, unless you use all little itty bitty words. But then, of course, if you use bigger, longer words, then it's going to be longer than that. All right. So a lot of this kind of feel. So 1,200 words is about 3 full pages. Like your essay should be aimed about, if I read a paper that is 3 full pages and then a little bit of a 4th page, I'm just going to assume that's 1,200 words. That feels long enough. If I read a paper that's 2.5 pages, I'm going to think that it's shorter, and I'm gonna download it and look at it and see the exact word count. Okay. So if you don't, so it really is more about, like, if it's about 3 pages, 3.5 pages, then I'm just gonna go ahead and be convinced it's at least 1,200 words. Okay. And please don't make it more than 1,600 words, because that's like more than 4 pages. And I don't want to read. I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. I have 80 of y'all to read, to grade, as well as everybody else on my caseload. Your essay needs to include one or more of the following styles: cause and effect, comparison, contrast, classification. As you're going to see in my example, my outline example, if I were to write this essay, my topic that I've hypothetically written about uses both cause and effect and comparison, contrast. You can use some classification, you can do some comparison, contrast, and classification. You can do cause and effect and classification, as long as at least one of those is the main element of your paper. Okay. This time you need 2 sources quoted. Last paper, you had 1 paper. I'm sorry, 1 essay. You had 1 source. This paper is essay 2, you have 2 sources. Next essay, you have 3 sources. In the past, the only paper that you had to have a source for was your 3rd paper. And I found that, like, a lot of people in that 3rd paper, they incorrectly used quotes, and they incorrectly cited their sources, and they incorrectly wrote a works cited page, and they lost points off paper 3. Paper 3 should not be introducing anything new that, like, hasn't already been there for paper 1 and 2. So to me, it makes just sense to have sources required for essay 1, 2 before you get to 3. All right. So you're gonna have 2 sources for essay 2. Okay. In a correct formatted works cited page and correct MLA formatting. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now, okay? That if you make essay 1 was graded with an easier, less penalizing rubric. Okay. Essay 2 will pretty much have the same rubric, but each penalty will cost more. So if you made a 90 on essay 1 and you don't change any of your errors, and you make the same errors on essay 2, you're going to end up with an 80. And then if you make the same exact errors on essay 3, then you'll end up with a 70. Okay. So everything is going to be counted more, each error more, for each of the subsequent essays. Okay. So the goal is for you to improve your grade, improve your skills. Whatever errors you make on essay 1, you should not make those same errors on essay 2. That's your goal. Okay. And if your essay 2 score is higher than your essay 1 score, then I'll replace your essay 1 score. Okay. So just make sure that, like, you understand that, like, I'm grading you not just on if you're using cause and effect or comparison, contrast, or classification, but that you're quoting your sources correctly, that you are integrating those quotes correctly, that you are using parenthetical citations correctly, and that you have a works cited page that's written correct and organized correctly. That's going to be consistent MLA formatting all the way through. Okay. Cool. All right. So for this paper, you got to figure out a topic. I'm going to provide you with this acronym called CHORES. CHORES stands for current events or zeitgeist. Zeitgeist means, like, the thing that kind of, like, makes this time in history unique. History, like historical events. Outside knowledge, stuff that you just know from your own life. Reading, things that you've read, or books that you've read. Experiences, things that you've actually can draw from in your own life. And then science. So what does that look like? Okay. Let's say for current events or zeitgeist, you could say something like, Putin is a modern day dictator. You write a comparison contrast essay comparing Putin to other dictators throughout history. Okay. He's a current modern person. You could, another current event, you could write about the fight between Kim Kardashian and Kourtney and how they're buddy heads, okay? And maybe you side with Kourtney and you think that Kim is a narcissist. So you want to write an essay about like narcissists and you want to compare and contrast Kim to narcissism. You could do that, okay? Current event. You could talk about how YouTube shorts and TikToks are essentially equivalent to like TV shows back for people like my age who grew up on, we used to do things like, hey, are you a Brandon or a Dylan? Are you a Zach or an AC Slater? And hopefully you're not a Screech. These were like references that we made back then. And like now that's a bit, instead of TV shows, people are making references to like TikToks and YouTube shorts. And those things are now popular that I don't know about. History, if you want to write about the Roman Empire, or you want to write about the impacts of 9/11 on xenophobia, that's cause and effect. These are not suggestions; these are examples. You don't have to write about any of this. Outside knowledge, I could write a really good classification essay on the Grateful Dead music and talk about how, listen, they have many different sounds from different time periods. All right, mid 60s they were psychedelic, early 70s they were roots rock. Mid 70s, they're all coked up. They're all about jazz, prog, man. And then late 70s with disco, they got into R&B and kind of like some like disco music. And then the 80s, they were like totally yacht rock. So I could write a whole essay classifying one band's different genres. Reading. My cause and effect essay that I'm going to be writing about hypothetically, is based around the autobiography of Malcolm X, a book that I'm currently teaching. And it's going to be a cause and effect essay about the results of racism. Okay. So you can write about a book that you've read or authors that you've read, compare and contrast authors' different works. Experiences. I have a student who he has both torn his ACL and his Achilles at different times. So he could write about what's it like to deal with those, what's similar, what's different about those. And let's just say like science. You want to write about global warming, cause and effect, whatever. Okay. So pick a topic that falls in line with one of these, come up with something that you find interesting. All right. I'm not going to go over research. We discussed research before. It's in here. You can look at it. Okay. Research. You can use the online database through Gwinnett Tech's library. All right, you can go here to the library. You can click on databases. You can go to Academic Search Complete or any of those. You can type in your topic and try to find a source. Okay, or you can use websites. I've already discussed before respectable websites. You need to make sure you follow this. New York Times, Vulture, The Atlantic, Slate, The Guardian. Things you should not be using are websites that are like encyclopedia websites. People are still using dictionary and encyclopedia websites, and do not do that. Don't use Fox News. Don't use CNN News. Okay. If you're using a source that's not, then you need to use this one. Let's see here. Did I? Hold on. Pause 1 second. I have this fear that, okay, yes. Hello, test. All right, great. You can still hear me. All right, great. Okay. I mean, this is the second time I'm recording this lecture. I don't want it to mess up again, man. Okay. All right. So you go through, you read this PowerPoint about your sources, okay? You need, if you're not sure if you're using the right kind of source, email it to me. Let me look at it first, okay? I can help you with that, all right? Now, if you use Galileo, which is great, you need to provide the citation for your outline. So if you go here, when you're looking at your source on the online library catalog, you can go to Cite, and it will give you the MLA citation, which then you can just copy and paste and put on your outline. You do have to include citations for your outline, okay? All right. So here's your outline. Let me show you. You go to week 8, PowerPoint notes, I have a sample outline for you, and then I have where you actually submit your outline. Look, this is the outline template. Click on that, and it looks like this. All right, it's blank, and you can fill it in. All right, with your ideas. Go to Outline Essay 2, click on this, and this is your Dropbox where you submit it. All right. You go to Sample Essay number 2 outline. I have an example. Click on that, and this pops up. This is my example. All right. I am using from chores, I'm using the R, reading. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I want to talk about the differences between cognitive bias and racism. So my thesis is this. In the autobiography of Malcolm X, the audience witnesses how people of color can practice prejudicial behaviors rooted in their cognitive biases toward white people, but they lack the economic, political, and social power to be racist. So I'm talking about the difference between being prejudicial and being racist. And I'm using the autobiography of Malcolm X as my main source. All right. So my point 1, my first body paragraph, is essentially a cause and effect paragraph where I'm talking about the difference. I'm trying to explain to you how cognitive bias develops. How do we form a cognitive bias towards a certain group? And here I want to talk about Malcolm X's distrust of white people came from years of experiencing racism through the harassment of the KKK, the murder of his father, and the lack of well-paying jobs available to blacks. Okay, this whole paragraph is about Malcolm X's youth and how his youth made him develop a cognitive bias towards white people. Oh, okay. Cognitive bias isn't the same as racism. So now this paragraph is a comparison and contrast paragraph. I'll be comparing, contrasting the difference between racism and prejudice. I might use this quote from the film Malcolm X, and I'm going to explain how racism is a system while cognitive bias is personal. And then I'm going to use my third point is dismantling racism will reduce prejudicial cognitive bias. This is a cause and effect paragraph. If we dismantle racism, then we'll have less cognitive bias, or racial cognitive bias. So then I have this quote, systemic racism is so embedded in systems that it often is assumed to reflect the natural, inevitable order of things. I found that from this website. Definitions, examples, health damages, and approaches to dismantling, okay, racism. From healthaffairs.org. This is a published article, published 2022. All right, this is a reliable source. Now, the way that I got this citation was that I went to, on our class, I went to writing tutoring in MLA, and I went to easybib.com, which sent me here, and I entered in all the information that I needed. Let's see if it's still present. And it created my citation for me. So I hit copy citation, and I placed it on my outline right here, okay? So I actually have 3 sources on here. I have this article, I have the film, Malcolm X, where this quote came from, and then I have the actual book, the autobiography of Malcolm X. I'm gonna copy and paste all those down here to my works cited page. And I'm gonna put them here in alphabetical order, B, L, X. I'm gonna make sure they are all the same formatting, 0, 0, double, okay, 12, okay. Now let's say some people are having problems formatting their citation. Okay, like this citation right here. What we need is a hanging indent. The first line is normal, but then the second lines of this same citation need to be indented. If you try to indent this line from here, the whole thing gets pushed over. So what you do is, if I want to indent this line, then I go to the end of the previous line and I hit tab and it indents it. Same thing here. I want to indent this line. I just go to the end of the previous line and I hit tab. And that's it. And now it's indented. All right. And now my outline is cool. I got a works cited page that looks correct. Now you only need 2. I have 3 because, you know, whatever. But you only need 2. And then up here you have your ideas and either a direct quote or a summary of what you want to say from that source. Okay. And then you would upload it in the week 8. Where it says outline SA2. And you'd hit create submission. Okay. That's it. That's what you're doing this week. You're creating an outline for SA2. Coming up with a topic, finding 2 sources to summarize or quote from, and you're getting the quote or the section you want to use. You're developing your main ideas for each body paragraph, and you're creating a little works cited page for it already. And then you're going to submit it. Okay. Then I'm going to get back to y'all SA1 with all your comments. After you write SA2's first draft, I'm going to go over during week 10. I'm going to go over good SA1s and bad SA1s without your names. Okay, don't worry. And then that way you can edit your papers to make sure that you're not doing any of the bad stuff from SA1. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. All right. I hope y'all are cool. Hope you're cool, man. Be cool. Okay. Send me an email if you need anything. All right. Bye-bye.